On this auspicious occasion marking the International Day of the United Nations Peacekeepers, to acknowledge and commend the exceptional sacrifice, courage, perseverance, and selfless service of our great men and women in uniform, and equally to acknowledge the exceptional performance of our brothers and sisters out of uniform under the umbrella of the United Nations as they undertake a very noble and worthwhile mission in the cause of humanity. We lack the right word of expression to convey our appreciation for that exceptional sacrifices you guys continue to demonstrate on a day-to-day basis under difficult conditions in our collective pursuit for world peace.
The United Nations chose to pay tribute to all the men and women who serve as military, police, or civilians in United Nations peacekeeping operations. The world's body commended their professionalism, dedication, and courage with a moment of silence for those who lost their lives in the cause of peace. The Gambia CDS noted that the work of men and women in the service is complicated because of the coronavirus global pandemic.
Today, we're even more challenged, given the circumstances in which we find ourselves, especially in the context of what we called the pandemic of unprecedented proportion. That is the COVID-19. It's making your job more difficult. In addition to your traditional role as peacekeepers, today you're confronted with another challenge.
The General Assembly, in its resolution 57/129, designated 29th May as the International Day of United Nations Peacekeepers. The day in 1948 marked the first United Nations peacekeeping mission which began operations in the Middle East. As this year marks the 20th anniversary of the adoption of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, the theme for peacekeepers is Women in Peacekeeping, a Key to Peace. Reporting for iAfrica News, I'm Lamin Sane.
And from the report there by Lamin Sane, we stay home and report on matters of the draft constitution because the government of the Gambia has gazetted the country's draft constitution ahead of the much anticipated referendum to bring about a third republic of the West African state. In a statement, the Minister of Justice said on Friday that the bill repealed the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia has now been completed. By these developments, the bill should be ready for introduction to the National Assembly after its second publication in August 2020. The draft constitution was submitted to the presidency by the Constitutional Review Commission 30th March for consideration and passage to the country's lawmaking body. And from that development, next we head to Nigeria, where farmers in the country anticipate poor losses in this year's farming season as the country's lockdown due to the coronavirus outbreak causes shortage in fertilizer. The global crisis obstructs government's plans in the production of fertilizer to support farmers during this season. Despite the great contribution of the sector of the country's GDP, about 7 million people in 13 states could face food scarcity, according to data by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Here's more details of that in this report.
It's planting season for commercial farmers like Mata Ayuba. In his decade-long farming business, he has cultivated several crops including corn, potatoes, strawberries and carrots. But he foresees a major shortfall in his output this year due to the coronavirus outbreak.
First issue we had was coming to the farm, being able to come to your farm, because then there was no movement. Yeah, and then secondly, with the issue of the coronavirus, I know there will be lockdown of let's say shops where probably we could get fertilizer and some of these chemicals we use on the farm. So yeah, it will affect us, yeah, seriously. The biggest challenge right now is fertilizer, access to fertilizer. We're able to get access to fertilizer, yeah, we will be able to farm, probably not as much as we used to. Right now, we don't have any fertilizer on ground, and usually we use up to 200 bags of fertilizer, depending on how much we plant.
The federal government set up the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative in 2016, a program that supports farmers with fertilizer subsidies. But the pandemic has caused a hitch in production and disbursements. Imports of raw materials too have been stalled.
Initially, we normally receive our raw materials from Ukraine, but now that the border is closed, no any importation of raw materials now. So presently, as of now I'm talking to you, we are not producing anything.
And for those in stock, the cost has more than doubled.
If we, the farmers, are not able to get fertilizer, or even if we're able to get fertilizer at a high price, it will definitely increase cost of production, and then it will increase the price of foodstuff, let's say food in general. If fertilizer is not available for farmers, yeah, if fertilizer is expensive or it's scarce, let's say, farmers won't be able to produce much, and the cost of foodstuff will definitely increase, and then it will lead to hunger, since we the farmers won't be able to produce as we usually do. So people will definitely go into hardship.
The agricultural sector is one of Nigeria's main focus of diversifying the oil-dependent economy. The sector contributes 22.12% to the national GDP. Data from the Food and Agricultural Organization projects that 7 million Nigerians across 13 states will experience food shortage this year. But farmers envisage it could be even worse.
From the report there in Nigeria, next we reported matters of the Rwandan genocide, because one of the most wanted suspects of the Rwandan genocide is facing trial in the French capital, Paris. Felicien Kabuga, who was arrested over the weekend after living under a false identity for 25 years. He had been charged by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda with genocide and crimes against humanity. Requests by bail by his lawyer proved futile for the 84-year-old. Details in this report by Sona Tunkara.
84-year-old Rwandan Felicien Kabuga, suspected of genocide, was denied bail by a French court in Paris on Wednesday. The suspect is accused of his financial involvement in the 1994 100-day genocide, which killed more than 800,000 Tutsis, Tawa and moderate Hutus in Rwanda during the civil war. Mr. Kabuga's lawyer, Laurent Bayon, requested for the release of his client due to his ill health, but his request was rejected.
Regarding our request for release from our client, we do not understand the refusal of the General Counsel with regard to his state of health. The arguments put forward by the General Counsel are not in accordance with what the case law says. So I think we will discuss them quickly with the family, and there will be an appeal in Court of Cassation.
After being in self-custody for the past 25 years, Kabuga was earlier this month arrested in one of the suburbs in Paris. His extradition to the UN International Court in The Hague is pending on the decision of the court in Paris. Kabuga's lawyer says the defense team will appeal the decision, as the suspect hopes to be tried in France.
The first battle is to ensure that he is forcibly released due to his state of health, and secondly, we want him to be tried here, and that is what we want.
The genocidal killing is said to have begun a day after the president, Juvenal Habyarimana, was assassinated on the 6th April 1994. After signing the Arusha Peace Agreement on the 4th August 1993 with Tutsi rebel refugees who invaded the northern part of Rwanda.
The report there is filed in by Sona Tunkara, and we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Badingol membe Gambia anin Gambia e bantala mbenga nyilon ko TRRC bala doko sallabang le kono andi la doko be lori men kan wala hadama dingol men na nyanto tinyata nyimbanko kanjang kabrin July karo 1994 sangola kana January karo 2017 sangola woto momo yalon ko mantorata nyi wato kono andi man futa TRRC follow pour que la kuma kan di safa me statement no ye fere ke ye futa TRRC ye la kuma kan di ataria nyama yo pour kana TRRC ye fen kenam pasoti kana futa je wala fen dépense pour ka futa TRRC ke la kuma kan di abe sendi le male barembe nyim fanan ko en la ko pour ka statement o fanan di amanke ko momo yela kuma kan di TRRC ibelo la television o nyatole mobe jube wotude tele bulu ni laptop ka testify mobe yela moy mobe je iso kenole bar ni man la fo fananna ise kuma kan dinole ayatra molke kan moy barete nyaada jela nindu man la fo fananna ise sino inin commissional damma aliye kacha ayatra mote bole kalama andu nimme lafta kanyinke ise katoke yin telephone number kumandi pour ka TRRC sotono 7704988 7704988 wala 7415937 7415937 ala baraka mobe sadake TRRC dokot.
Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, moments after the chairman of the African Union, President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, called for a total debt cancellation for African countries, the Gambian president resounded the call before the UN virtual conference on COVID-19. In an address to the high-level virtual meeting on Thursday, President Adam Barrow solicited a reduction in cost of transaction in migrant remittances.
We support the strong call by the African Union for debt relief or debt cancellation to free up physical resources for life-saving interventions in our battered economies. As least developed countries, debt servicing is compromising our recovery efforts. We need to find ways to increase economic growth, save existing jobs, and create more new jobs through access to various forms of external finance. For some of our countries, migrant remittances are a lifeline. Therefore, we must find ways to reduce transaction costs in order to make more resources available as remittance. Our domestic resources mobilization must further enhance efforts to tackle corruption, while we solicit international cooperation to eliminate it. I urge the international partners to do more towards development assistance. The pandemic represents an opportunity to take bolder action to truly leave no one behind. Let us work together and in solidarity so that we recover better.
The Secretary General of the UN, Antonio Guterres, said it was clear that many development countries lack the financial means to recover from the impact of COVID-19. And from that, next we head to Tunisia because Tunisians have welcomed government decision to further ease the COVID-19 regulation to allow cafes and restaurants to resume partial operations. Food businesses are gradually picking up after the country's lockdown as part of measures to stem the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Health authorities advise customers and business owners to respect COVID-19 regulations as government maintains the confined measures until June. Details of that in this report.
Mustafa is the manager of a restaurant in downtown Tunis. He has welcomed the government's decision to further ease lockdown measures.
Clients are returning gradually after months of interruption. People miss street foods and snacks. It's good for business. Food delivery is booming again, and it's a new way of offering service.
Some cafes have shut their doors indefinitely because their owners could not cope with the economic repercussions of the COVID-19 pandemic. Only the luckiest were able to pay their rent and bills without laying off employees.
There are less customers because they are not allowed to sit at the cafe. Single-use coffee cups are an additional expense, but people accept paying more. Otherwise, they cannot have their drinks.
Tunisian customers usually spend up to 4 hours at the coffee shop. They have adopted a new mode of consumption following the coronavirus crisis.
I am happy as long as I have my coffee. One must adapt to the new rules to avoid infection. I miss the old days when I used to sit and play cards with my friends. I hope we'll resume a normal life as soon as possible.
According to the government spokesperson, the conditions of the second phase of deconfinement will continue to be applied until June the 4th, after which cafes and restaurants will resume their activities normally. Health authorities and the Interior Ministry have urged Tunisian consumers, as well as managers of cafes and restaurants, to respect the prevention and sanitary measures put in place by the COVID-19 task force to prevent the spread of the disease.
From the report there in Tunisia, finally, we end this news bulletin in Kenya because the impact of the COVID-19 lockdown has forced many Kenyans to find alternative jobs to earn a living amid the coronavirus pandemic. Businesses were largely affected as government imposed restrictions to control the spread of the virus. In March, analyst estimates shows that about 81% of the global workforce was affected due to the closure of many businesses. Here is more details of that in this report.
For weeks, local dailies have carried stories of economic hardship brought by partial lockdowns and movement restrictions in East Africa's largest economy. It's forced many to look for alternatives in order to survive. Nowhere is that more evident than at this makeshift market that sprang up over the last few weeks in this affluent neighborhood in Nairobi. Virtually everyone you see selling goods here was doing something different to earn a living before COVID-19. Selling fruits and vegetables from the back of this 25-year-old Volvo is what Florence Waithera now depends on as her main source of income. Her immediate former boss lent her the vehicle to operate the business after she was sent home on compulsory leave.
They told me instead to stay home, like inside the house, they will offer the car so I can come and sell it.
Next to her is Martin Dunge, a public transport operator. Social distancing guidelines have cut his revenue by half. So now, in place of passengers, he sells pineapples.
The passengers which are supposed to be inside or to be carrying have been already reduced because of the space, of the spacing. So you find that this car is not making, or it's not meeting its target. And that's why you find me selling the fruit, since you find that if I'm even making more.
According to the International Labour Organization, in March, more than 4 out of 5 people, about 81% in the global workforce of about 3.3 billion, were affected by full or partial workplace closures. In Kenya, the president says 500,000 jobs could be lost if the pandemic persists throughout the year. Despite the government's stimulus package to cushion small-medium enterprises, Julius Mbogo, who operated a car hire and tour company before COVID-19, now sells fruits from his vehicle. He has little faith of an economic recovery this year.
It will improve anytime soon. because now this pandemic is for us to know how to live with it.
Meanwhile, with no rent to pay for space or license fees, the number of vehicles with boot sales increases by the day. On this day, I counted at least 64 vehicles on this road alone.
That report there in Nairobi, Kenya, finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. Many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Of course, stay safe and bye for now.
Have your say.
Fellow Gambians, my government has approved a $500 million emergency fund, which the Ministries of Health and Finance will work on for disbursement and use to fight COVID-19 menace.
xaalis bi tege yomb na waaye xam lu jafe mooy séddale bi niñ ko séddalee ak ndax danañ ko jox ñi ko yeeyoo wala duñ leen ko jox loolu moo jara laajte.
cos loo xam ne la nit yee tax ñu joxe ko te nit ñi ñoo leen fa teg te xaalis nit yi la comme xaalis population bi la wax dëgg yàlla li gënoon mooy ku nekk a gis sa boppa
man su ma sañoon daal ñu séddoo ko nu mu waroo buñ si def xaaj loo ñii diw nañ ko si ku nekk loo war a am nga am ko.
askan bi seen dem ak dikk bu ñu wàññee mu jël ko def ko si loolu noonu participer ko si loolu noonu ba nga xam ne danañ mën a ànd ak moom si wàññi suñu dem ak suñu dikk.
génne leen xaalis bi nañ ko génnee ñu def ko ñu defar suñu réew mi defar réew nag da nga koy commencé njàng mu baax nit ñi di faju feebar di faju tan feebar di faju dafa xemul kombo loolu affaire bi du kombo rek nañ génne ci àll bi yëpp ñu defar fa hôpital li war man mi nekk kombo moo war ka nekk fototo moo war ka nekk Pokaw Njóogu moo war ko nekk feneen.
waaye nit doo ko mën a wax mu teg këram joxuloo ko dara lu mu lekk soo ñun balaa corona dañu rey xiif moo ñoo rey.
nguur bi